Yeah, hello everyone, welcome. Okay, so I'm doing today an energy and activations update. There's quite a few things that I would like to share with you. What is this? The computer is funny. Anyhow, okay. I don't know where it started, but to share again, there's lots of things that I would like to share with you. As you're probably feeling, the December energies are very powerful. We are moving up because, of course, the energies continue to move up. I'm sure you've all seen the Schumann and felt the activations. There's a few things that have been going on collectively because of the surgeries or like the activations that the galactics have been doing and the energy that Father is moving. So there are certain points that I would like to touch or point out because I feel it's important for you to be aware of it because it's gonna of course help you with the activations or the awareness brings the consciousness so you can move the energy maybe a little bit more. But as of today, it's the 21st, so happy solstice. And there is a special package, special surprise of, I'll call it inner earth / Lemurian energy that's gonna start hitting. We'll see how fast it goes, but like probably today, tomorrow, or in the following days. You might be experiencing some releasings today which are related to this, but I'm feeling like the new earth or like this inner earth energy is gonna hit probably like tomorrow or something like that. So we'll see how that goes. But as of the transformations and the energy itself, I want to touch the events, especially since the beginning of the December, because you have all probably felt the shift from November to December energy was quite big. It was quite different energy. Of course, Mom's birthday, Mother of all creation birthday, was on the last of the November. So it was a very big day, and I call it in relation to Father's path it's like his shamanic path. It's like some things that started, some things that he's working on. And I call it the wheel activation because that is what it feels like. And that is the day when the Galactic started a series of several surgeries. They were all very big and quite difficult for Father. It was quite painful. So some of those things you might have been feeling as well. And it is of course related to the inner path, the inner journey that we are all walking on. Because as we know, it is the inner path, especially since Mom's ascension. It's a whole roadmap that opened up because Mom kind of taught us the basics, and now we are moving into our own mastery. So in that sense, it's a whole new roadmap that opened up, and some of those things are also related to like the wheel and those activations that are going on. So one of the first things that they worked on in the surgeries was, of course, the brain, to help us, of course, connect the brain with the hearts. So if you've been having headaches, especially like the first 2 weeks, I would say, of December, especially the temples, it is part of this activation. If you feel into it, you can actually feel it's like kind of like, the temples, they're like sondas. They emit and like transmitters of energy. They help your telepathic communication. So you can actually like feel them. They're like this. And this was part of the activation. And so what this brings is one, a more peaceful state of being, I would call it, because of course all the negative thoughts and the thought patterns are being cleared out. At the same time, you'll notice that it helps your telepathic communication. And a very powerful thing that I noticed from it is the emission of energy that comes from your head and your temples. And you will notice this especially when you enter a state of prayer, which of course, you know, you should been working on being in that state throughout the day, being in the present moment, in gratitude, in prayer. And you will notice, like, especially like when you let's say send energy to someone, or you know, prayers, things like that, how that power of intention in connection with the energy that comes from your heart is being expanded out, and it flows into creation. So the temples, you know, have been worked on quite a lot, especially the first week of December. Today they started doing a third cycle of brain surgeries. It's going to be focused on the right brain. So I'm already like feeling some tingling that started yesterday. And another activation that comes from that is, I call it the rainbow hello, because that's how it looks like. Because as you are working on being in the present moment, in prayer, in gratitude, in all those qualities, you can actually start feeling, it's like rays of energy that start emitting out of your brain. And that's, you know, why they sometimes drew a hello on top of like saints and things like that, because it represents the Christ consciousness, of course. So this has been activating a lot. So if you're in the present moment, if you're just focusing on being love in action, on just like being love, serving love, it's gonna start emitting out. And at the same time, this kind of creates kind of like a protection or a shield from all the lower collective energies. The way I feel it is that like the collective energy doesn't really come through anymore as much, or if you allow it. That means if you go out of that center of love, of course it can come through, but otherwise the energy that's emitting, that's been activated, it's so strong. It's like you're just, you know, pushing out light, and that way you're transforming all the energy around you. And I know that, of course, the collective energy is quite strong, as it always is on big energetic days. And in regard to that, you know, I would just say, just send it love. It's so simple. As the energy is rising, it's a lot easier to be in love. It's a lot easier to be in the present moment. But of course, if you allow it, because if you're in resistance, you're just gonna be, you know, making circles. And you know, that's why gratitude, prayer, things like that are so important. Because it's just gonna spread this energy from your heart, from your brain out, and it's gonna create like a huge shield of light. So, you know, wherever you go, you're gonna carry it with you. And of course, many of those things that I'm mentioning are things that have been in activation for some time, but it's like we're entering new levels. We're rising, and we're rising quite fast. Actually, like in those moments, we're in energies that kind of feel like a trampoline, and this means that it's a huge opportunity for you to jump up. It's like you have stairs made of trampolines, and you're bouncing on one, and then when you're ready, you just jump on the next one, and you jump up, and you continue jumping up like this, and you know, you'll see again, with surrender, with awareness, with transformation, you're gonna be able to jump up really fast. So, you know, jump up and be more love and express more love. It's very simple. Another thing that is connected to this is what I call the power center of the soul. I have no idea if that truly is this, but that's how it feels to me, so I had to put a name to it. And this happened, the transformation of this happened on the 30th, on Mom's birthday, when the wheel was activated. So if you've been experiencing things in your stomach or in your solar plexus, it is related to this. You might have some like indigestion or maybe bloating, maybe pains in your stomach. Of course, like all those symptoms are gonna express very differently with each one of you. You might be feeling them more or less. So I'm just like sharing what I've been feeling collectively, or like things that I've been experiencing. So just feel into it. And this power center of your soul, I forgot something, they're remembering me, together with the brain activation, they also worked on the crown chakra. They went like from the left to the right and then to the back. And when the surgery was going on the back part of the crown chakra, there is a huge portal that opened that again made the telepathic communication a lot easier. It's kind of like a waterfall that opened up because the energy is so strong. But of course, it comes with allowance and with surrender. So when energy flows in, it's pure divine consciousness. Of course, you expand it out through your temples, through your brain. And as you bring it down, you're gonna start noticing, like especially this has been going on probably for some weeks, depending on where you are in your transformation or on your path. But you will start noticing that it's kind of feels more like you're bringing your higher self through. It's not anymore as it was that you're bringing your higher self down. Now you're more like bringing it through, actually expressing it, bringing it like from the inside out. And as part of this waterfall that got activated, as the energy flows in, there is like a wheel in your solar plexus, or above, a little bit above your solar plexus. Also, just to mention, with all those things that I'm mentioning, it's different activation points, let's say, in your body, which represents the dimensions or the universe, because you know it's all one, it's all connected. So as you know, like for instance, the third eye is of course a portal to the other side, as well as the heart. And as you're walking on your transformations, there's like different doors that open up, or different points in your body represent different things, and there's several layers with all of this. So there is this part a little bit above your solar plexus, which is like a wheel of energy. I don't know if it's like a separate chakra, or maybe it's just like another level, something of it. But you will see, like when you bring your power in, I would suggest you try to pull it in directly in that diaphragm triangle. So not directly in your solar plexus, not in the center of the solar plexus, but above it. If I show you, this is like the triangle, right? So the triangle, like this, it's up. So this part, not the solar plexus, but this part, and then the very center of it, this is that activation point, or like the center of the wheel. You can also see it as a button, and as you bring your strength in, I would suggest you try, or like you feel it in this part. There is a slight difference on the strength that comes from the solar plexus and the strength that comes from this area. In comparison, I kind of feel it, the solar plexus is more like a strength to push forward, whereas this part feels like a strength to pull, or like to push up. Or kind of like to jump up. And as you bring that strength in, you really have to hold it. And it might feel, it is like a lock, you know, it's a door that you're gonna enter through this. And the way the lock works is kind of, you have to open it and you have to push it, and then you have to turn it again. Just like for awareness, you might feel that, you might not when you're doing the transformation, but I did it for several people, and you know, I noticed it with me and with others as well. So it's kind of like this feeling, because you know, when you're activating different points in your body, there's certain buttons that you have to push, and when you push them, it opens something up. So this is the same way, it's only a bit different. I mean, at least for me, I haven't seen that kind of a push before. So it's kind of like push, turn, and then push again. And then this part is also connected to the feelings of I would say centeredness and balance and peace, but a very, very much deeper feeling of it. Maybe an example of it would be if you imagine like a tornado, or if you imagine, you know, when the energy is extremely strong, or like a lot of people or something like that, and the energy is kind of like just swirling around it, it kind of wants to pull you with it. But then as you hold that center, kind of like sucking it in, you know, because you breathe it in and you hold it in that center, and then you're like kind of center of that tornado, and it doesn't matter how the energy is spinning around you, you're holding your center. But in order to reach this, you first have to go to the complete peace, like the sense of when you just do nothing. And I don't mean don't do anything physically, but that's how deep the feeling of peace has to be. And that is also why the energy of November felt a little bit more like calm and peaceful, kind of slowed down sense of energy, because you had to find your peace inside, because this then brings your center, and this then allows you to fully anchor in your strength and to start pulling that up, or like to hold it. And then this way you will notice in your transformation, you can feel a trigger or like some energy that's gonna come from a mile away. You can like already see it, you can already feel it coming, and you just hold your center through it. Or even if like an energy wave hits you from nowhere, or you fall into a trigger like out of nowhere, again, this center is gonna allow you to come out like instantly. And that's also related to part like jumping up in your evolution, because for most of you that have been on the path for some time, you know, we're mastering everything. So you can just, you know, many times, whereas before maybe you would have to release it through crying, or you go out running, or like express the energy in some way, it's not needed anymore, because you just hold your center, you jump up, and you transform it instantly. And it's also a lot easier to transform the collective energy, because as you're holding that center, it is allowing you with that rainbow energy expansion that I was talking about in the beginning. It's gonna allow you to hold that a lot more, and it's gonna be a lot more powerful. So I would just say maybe it's just like throughout the day, just focus on this point. Maybe you can try pressing it, like if you really press it in with a little bit of strength, it should also help you start releasing it. Or just like, you know, when you're standing and you just kind of pull your stomach in a little bit, but I mean like the upper part of the stomach. It's also gonna raise your spine up, because of course with the transformation, as you're transforming, you know, lots of the changes are gonna occur on your body, especially of course the spine, because it's like the kundalini. So yeah, it's gonna pull your spine up. And again, Richarder, I'm not speaking of the strength that comes from the solar plexus, because it kind of like when you're explaining it, it seems very similar, but that's why I say like just listen what I shared and then try it, and you should be able to notice the difference in like both activation points and what they bring. So once this part of the wheel activates, and just like to share, there were some moments, parts of Father's transformation he was working on, because that the wheel itself, it represents a lot more, and as he entered, it was very, very heavy, and I got the information, like the vision, like quite some days before it actually started, and even then it felt extremely heavy. And then when it started, he went through a lot for it to be activated. And this also has to do with the Great Unlocking, and I call it the Great Unlocking because that's exactly how it looked in the vision. And you probably are feeling in like the collective energy, there are things that are unlocking, and there are things that are still being locked. And there are things that are just gonna be pulled out. They're not gonna be unlocked, they're just gonna be pulled out. This is what Father is doing because it has to do with bringing all the energy, or like everything that Mom accomplished etherically, he's bringing it in physically. And don't get attached to how things appear to be in the physical, because of course there's a whole different plan, because of course everything that's happening is with the highest intention to bring everyone together, to wake everyone up. So just trust the process, send love to everyone. Everyone is exactly on the path, as everything is happening as it should be, so no worries about it. Especially, it was probably a little bit more than a week ago, when the unlocking was really felt collectively. Then it stopped a little bit, not really stopped, but it's a different process that we went into, or like Father went into for a few days, and now it's gonna start unlocking again. And also, if maybe some of you have noticed, the energy of Christmas has been taken out. I don't know how you feel that, but there's no more satanic Christmas. It's more like it's Christmas every day, because it's joy and magic and miracles every day. And that is also part of the process that Father went through, because there was a special day after he went through a very difficult transformation with the wheel, and then the next day he was like, I feel like a child, and there was this childlike energy that just spread everywhere, and it felt like I felt it like rainbow dust being spread on earth. It was very beautiful. So if you love it, of course, like your true childlike essence is gonna start coming through, but at the same time, it's gonna come with the maturity of your higher self essence, if you want to call it that way, because as you're bringing in that waterfall of energy, and allowing it to be expressed through your heart and through that center, the wheel center in your diaphragm triangle, it gets into this perfect balance of your maturity and your childlike wonder, which is your true expression of self, because we're getting more and more into our true expression, because of course, like, we are the angels, we are the galactics, and we are fully bringing this, not really anymore bringing this energy in, but we're more expressing it. That's part of this process, when you're not as much bringing your higher self in, and if you really put your attention to it, you can kind of feel like before in your transformation, it felt like you're connecting with your higher self up. But then as it gets lower and lower, or like closer to your more embodied, it kind of feels like it's standing right behind you, and then it starts coming through you, and that is exactly this, or it's connected to this door in the center of your diaphragm, and every harder again, it's just different levels of transformation. So don't get attached to how I'm explaining things. Just take your moments to feel into it, because we're entering those very subtle levels. So just feel into it, and you're gonna feel how this relates to your transformation. And then as you're allowing more higher self, or like, I don't really want to call that higher self anymore, because it is your true self. That's who you truly are. You're bringing all your past experiences in and you're uniting it kind of like with the future because only the present moment exists. So it's coming into your true self because you're getting rid of all the ego crap. And even with the ego, you know, it's if you again feel into it, it's not the same as it was. It's just like kind of like dust that you have to just get out, because we're in completely new levels of transformation, especially like when mom ascended and then the months that followed, it was a huge expansion. They're stretching further. Yes, there's a process that Father went through, just kind of like stretching, and this is what is allowing us to jump up so fast now. So anyhow, when you then expand that energy through your power center, then you bring it up, and I would like for you to focus especially on your sternum bone and the manubrium bone. Those are the next two doors that follow. I don't really know like what they are, but probably you have been seeing yourself etherically going through doors. Maybe before it was different kind of activations or like things that you did etherically, but now you're probably notice there's more doors than it was before. So the sternum is one of those doors. And maybe if someone is into like Gnosticism or like things like that, maybe you can help us out because I know it is mentioned in the scriptures. I remember it from past lives. I didn't get a chance to like fully search for it, but I did get some confirmation because even the door that goes through the diaphragm, which is like this power center, because it opens up like from your triangle, it opens up into your diaphragm, and they called it the diaphragm door. And then this opens into the sternum door, which is like the sternum is this the bone that you have in the middle, and it is quite a big door. So when you are expanding your heart, I would just suggest that you put your attention. It kind of feels like it rips apart. So when you are activating this, there might be pain that you will be feeling in your sternum. It's part of the process, so don't worry. And then just expand the energy like through. It really has to feel like you're opening up your chest. And when you do that, there's like a huge door that you probably see. And as you walk through, there's a new heart, I'll call it, or like a next level heart that activates, and the hearts just represent like levels of your expression or expansion, or it's everything's related. So but yeah, as you open this up, it will feel differently than just expanding the energy from your heart chakra or from your hearts, because as I said, there's different levels of activation or like different dimensions of everything. So when the sternum opens up, it's like it's an explosion of light that comes from inside your chest out. It's, as I said, different than just heart chakra. So when you're doing this process, I would maybe suggest for you to try maybe some kind of like yoga or stretching connected with, of course, breathing exercises. Just because like there might be some density still in your chest or like at the back. So just like some stretching, like your hands back or something like this, that's gonna like open up your chest, is really gonna help you. At the same time, this expansion connects with, of course, your spine, your back. So if you make a straight line like from here to the back, you come like here, which is kind of like the center between your wings. So if you've been having any pains in there, it's gonna push it out. And what was very interesting, what I noticed, when you're opening up those points, at the front, it feels like, as I said, like you open up your chest and you allow the light to come out. But on your spine, it kind of feels as if, someone pushes your spine kind of like a little bit back, because as you know, this part of the spine is curved like this. So when you activate the heart, it bends backwards a little bit. And it really has this feeling that like your spine is getting straightened, even the upper part. So your posture is probably gonna correct a little bit with this. And then the next part of the activation is connected to your manubrium bone and your thymus, the thymus gland, which is below the manubrium, which is like this bone here. It is basically the same process as with the sternum, but you probably have to activate the sternum first and then the manubrium. And it does the same thing on the back, but on a little bit like further up. So I know those are like points on the back that many people usually have problems with. Also, when you're doing the activation, like when you start opening up, I'll say, the wheel, there's probably gonna be like a flow of energy that's gonna open through. There's been some activations with the tree of life as well. And of course this relates to us because we are trees as well, and when you draw the lines of energy, it kind of, your body is a tree. So of course those upper part and the hands are like the branches that emit and then absorb the energy, and then you push it down into your legs. And the wheel, if you translate the tree to a river, or like to two rivers that are flowing one next to another, this wheel is kind of like a wheel in the middle of the trunk. And then as you activate it, it's gonna also push out any density that's preventing its full activation, because the wheel itself has several activation points, which means once you unlock it, you're gonna have to unlock it again and again. And of course this relates to you jumping up and up in your embodiment, let's say. So as it activates, I noticed there's many people that are feeling the release either through the kidneys and the hips, like the hip area, or through the shoulders and the wings, because even the vessel or the veins that go, like if you look into anatomy map and you look at the veins that go through the body, they basically have the same shape as this river or like this tree that is being activated. And those points especially are parts where energy is likely to get blocked because it branches out. It's kind of like a delta of the river. When the river branches out, it's kind of the same thing. So it's gonna up the flow, and any blocks are just not gonna allow the energy to flow through. So especially what's been going on, or like has been in transformation, are especially masculine trauma related to the feminine, because as you know, the feminine are the ones that have to make it first, like to put it easily. So mom really wants us to be the example, like how she was. And so if there's any remaining masculine energy or like masculine trauma that's either around your heart or at your back, or in your shoulders, it's gonna like that's the part that you have to focus on to push the energy out. And it might be very little, it might be like only a few percentages, or something point something, whatever. Just put your attention to it, because for the ones who are in a divine relationship, or like even if you aren't, it doesn't really matter, because it works basically the same collectively, but like simply put, men are not gonna transform some things until the women do, because well, you are a daughter of Mother and Father God, and you know, as an example of Mother God, you have to make this path, and so this way the masculine serve as your trigger. So they're gonna just like keep triggering you or keep showing you where you have to work on yourself to like get rid of all of that. So if you're in a relationship, just like simply put, or as always, don't be attached to the other person's journey, but at the same time always send them love. Because if something is provoking you in some because of someone, because like they're not doing what they should or what you think they should, things like that, you know, just focus on those things. Or if there's like any other different kind of masculine connected trauma, I would advise for all feminine to really focus on that and to fully allow your feminine essence to come through. The grace, the gracefulness, the unconditional love, the forgiveness, things like that, because otherwise you're gonna hold back yourself, and then you'll see with many of the masculine, once you transform, they're just gonna, you know, follow you. So or follow you. So yeah, that's related or in regards to this. As always with transformation, of course, always focus on the breath, because the energy is now so powerful. You know, you just put your intention and you put your breath and your heart into it, and it just flows out and you can really feel it. With the magic activating, because the wheel unlocking also has to do with your magic and your divinity activating. This is of course related to the childlike essence, but you will see like in general your sense of energy and your seeing of energy is gonna get a lot stronger. Your third eye, your visions, or not visions, your seeing is gonna be a lot stronger, as well as the energy that you just, you know, generally see. And in regards to this, the ships, the starships are also gonna appear a lot more real. I mean, of course, we know they're real and you know they're up and you have the communication and all of that, but it feels like they're becoming physical, which is not as much that they're becoming physical, but we are raising so much in energy that you can perceive them or see them more and more. And this is also then connected to the activation of your temples, because your temples in connection to your heart see or perceive energy, because as I said, the temples were kind of like sondas. So those are like some things that I like feel that most of you are going to be experiencing. Another thing that slipped me is when you are working on bringing that energy down, and just to make it clear, I'm not fully speaking of the energy that comes through your crown chakra, which of course I am as well, but maybe focus a little bit more on the back of your crown chakra. But again, like even with the crown chakra, with the portal, you will notice that it is a lot more open, it is a lot stronger. So as you're bringing the energy in, it passes through a passage that's related to your vocal cords. So if you've been having some like throat clearings, just continue with it, because it is part of the expression of your soul, because when your fourth or like middle, the sternum heart opens up, it has to do with your soul expression. And this of course is kind of like represented by singing. So if you imagine yourself singing your heart song, or if you sing it out, it's gonna also help with activation as well. It's gonna help with opening up your vocal cords. And with the throat clearing, I would just maybe advise you to maybe focus on some parts that you haven't been focusing on before, because like some people are gonna have a block like right in front of the throat chakra or at the sides, but there's a membrane that goes from like the neck up into the nasal cavity and then up to the brain. There's like a membrane in between, or if you wanna just call it the upper part of your throat, or of your like the upper part from your vocal cords. If you maybe do some sounds or like sounds probably that kind of open up this part, it's also gonna help, or at least I found it really helps. And yeah, so those are like some things that I would just maybe advise you to focus on, because many things are gonna continue to activate, and the points that are, or like those parts that I pointed out, are parts that are really greatly activating in people. Now I did notice, if you are in resistance, or resistance to self, or to someone, or like to some energy that you're not gonna feel, or you don't want to feel, it's not gonna open up. And that's why I was shown, like especially for the diaphragm triangle, some of you might search for it and you might not see anything or feel anything. And if this happens, it is just because it's not time for you yet. And it's always just tell your angels that you want to activate if you do, and they're gonna show you whatever it is that you maybe need to work on to get this part activated. And it is also related to your like service to love. Your, maybe I would call it devotion to love, like not devotion in the higher self, devotion to being love for everyone, because love is the only truth, and with love, through love, we are uniting everyone and we're bringing everyone home. And also with the sternum heart activation, it is also called the fourth heart. This was also an activation point for the crystal children. It was a step in their activation, because there's some of them coming shortly. But if you do have a child, you will notice that you're a lot more aligned with them. Of course, if you allow it, you will feel much easier how they feel, or like what they want to express, especially if like they don't speak yet, something like this. The telepathic communication should get a lot stronger with them as well. So feeling how they feel when they're not around, or something like this. But yes, the telepathic communication with them in general. And it was very, I had a very beautiful experience with this, because the day that this point got activated, there was a moment that I had with my daughter, a telepathic communication that was so strong. I like instantly started crying, because I was like, this is home, this is how it is supposed to be. And it's not that we haven't had, or like we don't have that, because we're always communicating by the heart, but it was a completely new level of activation of telepathy, and it felt like heaven. And this is what is activating. So just of course allow the transformation to occur, allow yourself to be love, allow yourself to express all the love that you are, send love to everyone. You're really gonna feel that. I'm expressing that because I cannot believe how big the difference is. It's been going on for like probably some weeks now, but like the stronger the energy gets, you can feel just like how stronger your love is. Like when you push love out, when you just send love to people, it's, you know, the effects are enormous, enormous. And maybe just a little advice more, when you're working on your transformations, with the third eye activation, all of that, you know, it's extremely easy to transform now, of course, as again, as always, if you allow it. So just imagine like whatever it is that you have to transform, or like whatever situation that you're into, just imagine it differently, or just imagine yourself in the divine state. I don't want to like explicitly say differently, because the situation might be so that you know, you cannot really change anything, but imagine yourself in the divine state that like you should be into in this certain situation, and then you just breathe that energy in, and you anchor in it in your body, and it's, you know, it's, you're gonna transform everything a lot faster than you did before, because as we are now jumping up in evolution, you know, you jump when you're ready, but you know, once you jump, there's no going back. And once you jump, this means like you kind of transcend, or you kind of fast track certain parts of your transformation, basically just by deciding to do it and be like, okay, I can do it, I'll do it, or just like breathe the energy in and then just jump up. And that's why this diaphragm part is so important, because you have to hold that peace and that centeredness, and then that inner divine strength to then jump up. So yeah, I have just some things written down, and the first word I see is practice. And it's a good point, because of course with everything you have to practice it. Because, you know, we are now in moments when you just have to be love in action, and everything that you have learned, you have to use it, and you have to use it in every moment, because as you do this way, you're just like transforming everything around you in every moment. And as you're practicing all of those expansions, you're gonna really start like feeling how much it activates, and how much it helps you to then hold your essence, or hold the higher states of being, of consciousness. And as I said, like especially with the wheel, and then with the sternum, and even like the temples, you have to practice it so that it fully anchors in, or that it fully opens up. And like for instance with the brain, with the temples activation, I was working strongly on my temples when the surgery was going on for several days. And then as you do, of course, there's always this feeling of a breakthrough that you make, which is this, you know, jumping up. And then you just keep expanding, okay? Don't stop, or don't feel like, you know, we're not moving up, because we are moving up very fast. Of course, with your allowance, with your discipline, with your love. So yeah, just keep practicing, you know, take your moments, which can be, you know, everywhere, when you're in the car, on the bus, or just walking around, or washing dishes, like whatever you're doing, you know, just imagine the energy, and send love, and send prayers, and expand, and, you know, breathe. And that's basically everything that, or all that you have to. So this, I feel, is okay. So I feel this is kind of mostly it for now. There's just like one part that I've written down here that I would like to mention. all those doors that I'm speaking of, or like the hearts or portals, they are portals or like doors, whatever they are, to bring you into another dimension, which is another state of consciousness, which is another level of your evolution, because we are expanding our consciousness into oneness. So with all of those points that I'm mentioning, it's gonna be different for everyone, but each one of them is of course your test, because the earth is a school. So if you're struggling with activating some of them, or like you activate a part of it but then it gonna stop, or you get to a block or something like this, you really have to see what in your physical experience you have to change, because of course each like point is connected to certain parts of your consciousness or unconsciousness, so it's a transformation, and as I said, there's no rule, because it's gonna be very different for everyone based on how your contract is, or like where you are on your journey, things like that. But just to be aware, whenever you are activating or clearing some density things like that, you always of course have to look back how this relates to your physical experience, and with the transformation that we are into now, some of those things might be very subtle. Like energy itself, when you're looking in your body, might look very subtle. It like depends how deep you go, because if you go closer it looks bigger, but then in your physical experience, it might be, I don't know, like something so little that, I don't know, when you walk to the car, just walk a little bit slower, just like it's maybe a funny example, but I'm saying it's gonna be very little things that are gonna cause great difference, because many times we want to change something in a certain situation, when truly you just have to change yourself, or you have to change the perspective that you have for that certain situation. So again, just be harder, don't forget to focus on the details, and of course, like when you're in your heart, when you're connected, everything flows, and you should be able to know yourself what those things are, and you should also know how to transform them, because this is the road to yourself, and as far as your angels of course are there, there might be some things that they won't really tell you, because it's your test, it's your journey. It's not like this for everything, of course, but with some transformations I have noticed that it kind of works this way. So those are some things. I feel that's kind of, yeah, I feel that's kind of gonna be for today. Anything else? Okay. So yes, just keep expanding from your heart. Keep shining your love. Keep shining your light out, because you can really feel it with those energies. It's just shining out, and it's shining through. And whenever you get to blocks, as always, you just transform them, you release them, you breathe them out. If you are spinning, if you are in this stuck in the wheel, and it's kind of like the same thing is going on, or the same tests, you have to look into something. Of course, it is always like this, but like with this energy that we are in now, you're gonna notice this more and more. So if you are not expanding, if you are not feeling like you're bigger and brighter and more powerful and more love every day, because there's this like feeling of stagnation that I get from certain beings in the collective. I'm referring to light workers, it is because you are not looking into something. And until, like, we're in this point now that until you look at it and you transform it, you're not really gonna be able to go to the next level, because, you know, you have to transform some things first, and then you are allowed to new levels of expansion. And the magic roadmap title is because, or like part of it is because, with the pad that we're activating, and with the activation of your third eye, like the etheric or the communication, the perception of energy is so strong now, that it kind of feels like you're in a video game. And you know, when you're playing like this game of finding treasures, and you have this map and you have those things that you have to find or activate or just like do something with them, it's really like it's getting more and more like this. It is getting more and more magical. So, you know, for any reason, if you're not feeling this way, connect with us, or, you know, send us a message, or, you know, connect in. And if you need, we'll always feel here to help. But otherwise, you know, just ask yourself what is it that you're not looking into. And you have to be brutally honest with yourself, because the line is getting so subtle now. If you're not like 110% vulnerable and open with yourself, you can easily confuse it with a different energy, because it is so very subtle. It's kind of crazy sometimes. And maybe a good example, like something general that just came through that's gonna help you understand it. Maybe like when you're working on your strength and you really bring your strength in, but then you just go 1% over the middle, the golden middle, and you're already in superiority. Or you just go 1% under and you're like in unworthiness or something. So that's kind of like an example. The energies or the line of the transformation is getting extremely subtle. But then at the same time, if you're allowing yourself to be more and more in your heart, it's gonna be easier and easier to see those lines. It just depends on you, like how much you allow yourself to be truthful. So that's for this part, I think. Okay, that's gonna be it. I have to run because I just had to squeeze this video in. I hope this helps you a little, or like gives you a little bit of a perspective of what is going on. For the future, or like the following days, we'll see. But mom already told me, of course, new year, it's gonna be, I'll call it very special, because it's gonna be a very new energy. We haven't felt this energy a lot before, what's gonna enter for the new year. So that's part of it. And I wanted to say something else. I don't know, it slipped away. So maybe next time. Okay, I'm gonna leave you with this. If you have any questions, please connect with me. You know, I'm here. So send your love, please, to Father. He's been smashing some parties the last few days. You've noticed the energy was very extremely powerful. The Schumann went out for several hours. We were laughing, we were having fun, the angels were having fun. Mom was having a lot of fun, because we're kind of a little bit ahead of the plan, I'll call it. So we'll see how things continue to develop. But you know, just to let you know, he is going through a lot. It is, of course, part of his contract, because he has to kind of walk behind mom's footsteps, if you want to call it that way. And see you next time, or hear from you next time. Sending you lots of love and blessings, and lots of love for your transformation and your true expression. So I love you, and see ya. Bye bye.